When Professor Ngewa was leaving the principalship, Dr. Kasali was asked to become the principal.
David Kasali he's from DRC Congo. He was just a mixer. David would join us to play soccer. He was actually on the soccer team. He could join us to play the volleyball.
He didn't believe in these massive and general meetings. No, he knew that you'd understand your issues better when you're sitting with him in your office than when you're sitting with the masses.
Let's focus today on prayer. On prayer. Prayer is that conversation with Jesus. Prayer is that conversation.
Dr. Kasali, as we called him, came in at a time when the university was low in terms of income.
He came in with a new board chair. So they changed the business model, all right? So they now actually said, it's more or less like a business model. We are offering services, you pay.
Dr. Kasali was very keen on fiscal development for the institution. We only had the chapel. That's the only building you could say it's a standard building, for a college. We only had block ABC. That's why we had the library. That's why we had some student housing. That's where the faculty offices and staff offices. Everything was just concentrated in those 3 buildings. Remember, they were not built to standard. These were buildings which are used for as chicken coops, piggeries, for keeping pigs, milking areas, for cows, dairy cows. So they were just converted from that to something, just a make-do thing. At that time, we were doing well in terms of student accommodation and buildings that took care of, the students' welfare. But we were very, very low in terms of administration buildings. And so when Kasali came in, he focused on building on that, realizing that students are comfortable, but faculty and staff are not. And so I recall the first building that he wanted to do was the library, because the library that time was not really a library. It was just some structure where there are some books and some not very comfortable chairs, leaking roofs, rats, snakes, and stuff. That's what we were facing. So he said, we must build a standard library. And so I recall that time I was working in accounts. He called me to his office and told me, he used to call me Karonjo. Mr. Karonjo, come to my office. So I walked to his office and told me, the Lord is speaking to me and he's telling me that we need to have a library. So this is what I want you to do. It was towards July, and those days, the first Saturday of July of every year was our graduation day. And he told me, on Saturday we are having graduation. And this is what I'm saying. I'm looking for a seed that will plant and build the library. Then I said, okay, now what are you saying? And remember, we are coming from a situation where we don't have money, and even at this time we don't have money. And he told me, pray with me. When the graduation time for offering comes, I want you to pick all the money that to be given as offering, go to your office, count it, and tell me how much it is, because that is what we are going to use as the seed to start a fund to build the library. I told him, thank you, sir, I'll do that. And we prayed. After graduation, I went to tell him, I went and told him, sir, this is the money that we've been able to collect. As you told me, we've counted, and we have, it was about 78,000. He said, praise God. Now we have money that God has given to us to start building the library. The following week, what he did was to call people, and in faith, by faith, we did groundbreaking for the library. And he made it public. He started now fundraising, and I tell you, faith works. There's no one given time that building stopped because there was no money. Money just kept on coming until the whole building was completed. He didn't stop there. He said, now the library is done. We have a good library. We are going to borrow the first floor for administration offices, but our faculty are still in the chicken coops. So we must do something about that. And the classrooms need to move. Those are not classrooms. And he said, I am going to start the next phase, and I'm going to do the classrooms and the faculty building at the same time. And we started fundraising, and I tell you, just like the library, the buildings started, and day after day, month after month, within a span of about 14 months or so, we had the classrooms, and we had the faculty building.
And so it was during the time, that some of this development we have now happened.
His involvement is what made significant difference. He would inform us to pray for him. He would covet for prayers from the staff.
I would use the word faith for Kasali.
I remember before this building came up, David put me out there and he says, hey John, that time this place was like, there was nothing here. Said, look in that direction, what do you see? Doctor, I can't see anything. Look with the eyes of God, what do you see? Nothing. He said, okay. He brought me again. Have you prayed? What have you seen? And I was not the only one who was doing that.
He could come and meet you and ask you, oh, Nelson, what do you see here? Are you seeing what I'm saying? Then I want to know, what are you seeing? Me, I'm seeing trees, I'm seeing this. Then you say, no, I'm seeing the Lord do something big here. We are going to have the classrooms here. So oh, okay.
And finally he said, open your eyes and see what God is doing. Right at that place, that's where we are going to have the faculty building. I can see. The same thing with the academic building. That is the level of faith that he has.
One leader who believes in going to appeal, meet with the donors, go to them. He would also invite them to come, interact with the students, and see the institution. Through that, he was able to solicit funds to develop the infrastructure of the institution.
much of what Kasali did for this institution was to build relationships with the donors and with a clear focus on fiscal development.
So he laid the foundation for the expansion. And then he had a lot of clout at his back when he was coming, a lot of friends to give him the support. So he was actually a very aggressive fundraiser.
Prayer is not something we do. Prayer is something we be. It is our being. Prayer is not something we teach.
He served for 5
Prayer
years,
is something we experience.
but his body did not allow him to continue. He felt like he needed to sort of take a break.
So Dr. Carew then, when he taught for some years, and then later on when Dr. Kasali was hesitant because of health issues, he was appointed as the Vice Chancellor then.
Very firm. His faith is highly up there.
I had privilege of studying with him when he was doing his second master's, because that was when we started engaging and bonding, because we shared a lot of classes together with him. A very intelligent man, very, very humble, and very, very insightful.
At the time of Kasali, the talk of making this a university and introducing other disciplines was ripe.
And so he is the one who actually steered the whole idea of us becoming a university and getting the charter for us to be where we are now.
He was the one who led us to become African International University. So technically, he is the first Vice Chancellor of African International University.
One of the things that Keru did in terms of community was to expand the board. He was very keen on having a strong board because he believed the board played a big role in establishing the university. Now that we are coming to a new dispensation, and so he was keen also to make sure that he has a board that works towards that vision.
When I graduated in 1996, actually there was a call for me to stay. But I've given my word back to the Sierra Leoneans that when I finish, I was going to go back and serve. So I went back to Sierra Leone, and it was a very difficult moment. That time Sierra Leone was in war. And so I went back, and after the end of the war, I was again invited, hired to come and work on the curriculum towards accreditation by at that time it was Accrediting Council for Theological Education in Africa. They have changed their name now. It is Association of Christian Theological Education in Africa. The Association of Evangelicals in Africa, we are establishing schools around Africa, and they needed to have a standard saying that you can graduate from one school and go to the other. So there was the need for accreditation. And there was also the need for the production of materials. And that's how we had the Christian Learning Material Center, CLMC. So the act here was actually set up to ensure that there is quality in theological education across the Association of Evangelical Schools. There was a time if you are not coming from an accredited institution, you will not be employed in any of their schools. So by NEDES being accredited, it gave a platform for NEDES graduates to serve in their institutions. So that was one advantage. And also it gave us international standard. You see, I went into a university on the accreditation of ACTI, an evangelical university. But when you move into a state university or a secular university, then you have to look for government accreditation, which we didn't have.
And we ourselves could not give the masters using our names, that is, legacy, because we were not chartered by Commission for University Education. So now the words, by the authority that is given me, which we are using now, we're saying by the charter, was by the authority given to Bagui, that is the sister school in Central African Republic, which was chartered by the government of Central African Republic. So that was what was happening that particular time. We were then chartered, we were able to give our own degrees.
So the accreditation was there, and our students came from all countries, and they would go and study anywhere in the globe for their PhDs. However, there is now the local accreditation, because NEXT is hosted in Kenya, and there's a way in which you have to link with the regulations that are operating within the country. So NEXT started seeking accreditation from CHE. It was called CHE, the Commission for Higher Education. And the process started quite some time.
You know, the Commission for University Education, it used to be called Kenya Commission for Higher, I think it was called Higher Education, University Higher Education, before it became CUE. There were people there who didn't understand this whole idea about a graduate theological school. And so it was very difficult for us, even though they gave us the interim certificate to run a graduate school. Getting a charter then was very, very difficult.
We started talking about this charter in 2002. You remember when the NAC government came in and they made that pronouncement of free education. And then we started thinking, if they give these people free education, in 10 years, we have massive numbers of students coming out that will be ready for placement. So, two options. Either the government start to build new universities to accommodate these students, or they will turn around and encourage us or force us, whatever it is, to become chartered universities so that we can absorb the excess students. And so that discussion has been going on. So now we started looking at all the conditions that they needed, 54 acres of land, 4 programs. So we have been working on that softly until 2010, boom, now President Samuel Ruto was the Minister of Higher Education at that time. And he said, you have got to be chartered, 54 acres of land, 4 programs or else. And that was when we started now with the machinery. So it was not really, we were responding to our own social needs, but at the same time responding to what the government was saying. And they shut down a lot of those little colleges.
It was difficult. I can tell you it was hard. It was very, very difficult. Sometimes even hostile. Sometimes they have threatened they will close down the institution. So we took the challenge the government gave, that instead of closing us down, we will open up and start offering programs that are non-theological. Of course, it was imposed on us. It was forced on us. If we had our own way, I think we would have remained a theological school. But one of the conditions the government put on us is that we either diversify our programs and do more courses, or they will close us down.
Neges had more than the government needed to accredit it. Okay? Enough programs. At that point, we had the Master of Divinity with its different specializations and a lot of Master of Arts degrees. So just by the number of the programs that the university was offering at that point, they were more than required to charter a university. So what you had to first of all define for economies of scale, you have to determine what makes a class. So what is viable to make a class? Because you have to hire lecturers, you have to buy books, all the expenses that have to do with launching a new program. Actually, that's part of what you submit to the commission. So for you to have your program accredited, there are all these needs that you have to comply to. I can't pick it like this, but it was a long process. It was a committee discussion, it was discussions in Senate.
After a long walk, I'll call it a long walk with the CUE, it came to a point where it was clear that we are getting the charter.
It took a lot of hard work and prayers for us to come to that point. And so when 2012, when the president came here to give us the charter, we knew it was God, because it seemed to be an impossible thing at that time.
I hereby grant the charter annexed to Africa International University on this 4th day of March in the year of our Lord 2011.
I remember one person make a comment that if we had a godfather like most of the universities here, it wouldn't have been difficult for us to get the charter. But we didn't have a godfather in terms of human godfather, but we have God as our godfather. And at the right time, he gave us a charter, which we are very grateful.